Here is a question almost nobody can answer honestly. Where did your money go last month? Not roughly, exactly. Most people have no idea. They know what they earn, they know rent came out, and after that, it is a fog. The money just left. And that fog is expensive, because most people have no idea where their money goes, which is exactly why so much of it disappears. It is the reason a person earning a perfectly good salary still lives paycheck to paycheck, still feels behind, still wonders why nothing is left at the end of the month. The problem is almost never that you make too little. The problem is that you have never actually looked. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the simplest budget that exists. No spreadsheet, no tracking every coffee. Just 3 simple buckets that turn the fog into something you can finally see. It is called 50, 30, 20. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So here is the whole framework, and it really is this simple. Split your take-home pay 3 ways, not your salary before taxes, the money that actually lands in your account. You split it into 3 buckets. 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, 20% goes to savings. That is it. That is the entire system. Let me define each one because the magic is in the boundaries. 50% goes to needs. These are the things that keep your life running. Rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, your phone, the minimum payments on any debt. If you stopped paying these, you would have a real problem. Next, 30% goes to wants. This is dining out, streaming, concerts, hobbies, clothes that are not survival clothes, the trip, the stuff that makes life worth living. Notice the number is not 0. It is 30%. You are allowed to enjoy your money. And finally, 20% goes to savings and investments. Your emergency fund, your retirement account, any extra debt payment above the minimum, any goal you are building toward. That is the part that quietly buys your future. 3 buckets: needs, wants, savings. You do not need 47 rows in a spreadsheet. You need to know your take-home pay and be roughly honest about where it goes. Now you might be thinking, I have tried budgeting before, and it did not stick. And you are right to be skeptical, because most budgets fail. But they fail for a specific reason, and it is not because you lack discipline. Most budgets fail because they demand that you track everything, every coffee, every happy hour, every impulse buy logged into some app. That is exhausting, and worse, it turns money into a constant source of guilt. So after 3 weeks, you quietly abandon it, and you feel like the failure. You were not the failure. The system was. 50, 30, 20 works for the opposite reason. Instead of restriction, it gives you permission. You are allowed to spend 30% of your income on things you simply enjoy. You do not have to feel guilty about dinner with friends or a concert ticket. You just have to stay inside the boundary. That one shift from guilt to permission is why people actually stick with it. And there is a second reason it survives real life. It is flexible. The wants bucket flexes month to month. Big trip in May. You lean out a little in March and April to make room. The framework bends around your real life instead of demanding you behave like a robot. A budget you can actually keep beats a perfect budget. You quit in a month. Let me make this real with someone who could be you. Meet Nour. She graduated at 22 with a communications degree and a job at a marketing agency paying $42,000. After taxes, about $3,000 a month landed in her account. She had never budgeted. She paid her bills, went out with friends, bought things. Some months she saved a little, most months she did not. She was not in debt, but she was not building anything either. Then one Sunday afternoon she pulled up 3 months of bank statements and sorted every dollar into 3 piles. Needs, wants, everything else. She was not ready for what she found. $1,500 on needs, right in range, but $1,200 on wants, when her target was around $900, and only $300 going to savings, half of what it should have been. She was not living extravagantly. A few dinners out, some Amazon orders, 6 streaming services she had completely forgotten she was paying for. All small, all adding up to $300 a month leaking out of her future. Now watch how clean this gets on a round number. Picture a take-home pay of $3,200 a month. 50% of that is $1,600 for needs. 30% is $960 for wants. And 20% is $640 for savings. 1,600, 960, 640. They add right back up to 3,200. Suddenly the fog is just three numbers you can actually see. So here is what 50, 30, 20 is really trying to teach you. And it is not what most people think. It is not about restriction. Nour did not overhaul her life. She did not stop seeing friends or swear off every nice thing. She canceled 2 streaming services, started cooking on Sundays, and nudged her want spending down toward $1,000. That freed up about $285 a month, and she pushed it straight into savings. Over a year, that is more than $3,000 redirected, not from sacrifice, from awareness. And that is the deeper point. It is about awareness, not deprivation. The budget did not make Nour spend less by force. It made her spending visible. And once she could see it, the fix was obvious and almost painless. The framework is just a flashlight. It does not judge you, it shows you. And the single number it is quietly protecting is your savings rate. That 20% bucket is the part that compounds, the part that becomes your emergency fund, your first invested dollars, your future. Everything else is just making sure that bucket actually gets filled. So this was never about cutting joy out of your life. It is about deciding on purpose that some of today's money belongs to the person you are going to become. So here is the move, and it is just one action, not a lifestyle, not a forever commitment. One thing, one time. Pull up last month's statement, just last month. Your main checking account and your credit card, whatever you actually spent from. Most banks and apps will already let you sort transactions by category, which does half the work for you. Then run it through the filter. 3 columns, needs, wants, savings. Drop every transaction into one of the 3. Total each column. Then divide each total by your take-home pay to see your real percentages. That is the entire exercise. 15 minutes, once. You are not signing up for anything. You are just looking. And if sorting it by hand feels like too much, use a tool like Rocket Money. It is free, it connects to your accounts, and it lays out your recurring charges and spending in one view, which is usually where the surprises hide. However you do it, the goal is the same. See the 3 numbers for 1 month, because almost everyone who does this finds the same thing. Something is off, usually the wants bucket, usually by a couple $100. That is not a reason to feel bad. That is the most useful information you will get about your money all year. You do not have to fix it today. You just have to see it clearly first. Here is the line I want you to keep. A budget is not a restriction. It is a decision made in advance about who gets your money. Most people spend their whole lives wondering where it went. The fog rolls in, the month ends, and the money is just gone. 50, 30, 20 flips that. You stop wondering where it went, and you start deciding where it goes. 3 buckets, 1 honest look. That is the entire difference between feeling behind and feeling in control. So go pull that statement, run your 3 numbers, and meet the version of you that finally knows. This is exactly the kind of small, boring, powerful move we figure out together, 1 number at a time.